Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a massive, honestly pretty radical architectural blueprint for how humans and AI are going to interact. It's called the Build Something ecosystem. And look, this isn't just some new app. The source material is proposing a complete top-to-bottom paradigm shift. We're going to explore a framework that completely abandons the old model of extracting value from users and replaces it with a system that actually circulates value based entirely on human judgment. To get there, here's our roadmap for the Explainer. We'll start by tackling the human alignment problem and why current AI development might actually have it totally backward. Then we'll unpack the core architecture, 10 doors, 1 record. After that, we'll zoom in on a daily ritual called Funny, Beautiful, True, meet the intelligence layer known as Vera, and finally, break down the economic endgame, the judgment economy. It's a huge concept, I know, but stick with me, it's going to make a lot of sense. So kicking things off with Section 1, the human alignment problem. Right now, the whole world is obsessed with what machines can do, right? How fast can they write code? How quickly can they generate an image? But this entire ecosystem argues that we are literally solving the wrong problem first. Think about it. A machine cannot be aligned to humanity if humanity hasn't actually established what it wants. The current system builds AI to optimize for platform proxies, things like engagement, clicks, or watch time, and then it tries to infer what we want from that behavior. Which brings us to this foundational quote from the blueprint. Humans judge, machines perform, the record preserves. The core argument here is absolutely crucial. Generation, meaning creating text, code, ideas, is no longer scarce. Machines can generate infinite possibilities instantly. So what is scarce? What actually matters now? Human judgment. Humans have to set the objective first. We are the ones who declare the goals, the boundaries, and the values. And then the machines just help us get there. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark difference between today's internet and this proposed blueprint. Think about how a video platform silently watches how long you hover over a thumbnail just to guess what you want, also they can serve you more ads. That is the old Web 2.0 extraction model, inferred signal. On the flip side, you have declared signal. This new system asks a very simple question. Why guess when a human can just explicitly tell you? This entire proposed ecosystem is built entirely on humans explicitly declaring what they value, what they need, and what they believe. Moving right along to Section 2, 10 doors, 1 record. Because it's one thing to have this grand philosophy about human judgment, but it's another thing entirely to build a software ecosystem that captures it without turning into a chaotic mess of competing databases. The bedrock of this entire system is called the record of humanity. You can think of this as a shared historical memory. It is a single canonical database. What this means is that one event has one official, locked-in truth. History cannot be secretly rewritten. It's like a permanent ink ledger. If a machine wins a competition or a human makes a prediction, boom, it is locked in. If you change your mind later on, your new judgment is recorded, sure, but your original choice remains completely intact. It's a permanent foundation of evidence. And sitting on top of that single record are 10 core properties, or doors. We've got build something, humans must decide, machine leagues, solve problems faster, all the way down to news from the John and prompts to the people. Now I know that is a rapid-fire list, but here is the key takeaway you need to grasp. These aren't 10 competing companies fighting for your attention. The specific door you use changes based on why you want to participate. Maybe you're there to solve a problem, or maybe you just want to play a game. But the underlying concept does not change. Every single one of them feeds directly into that one shared record. This shared architecture creates what the blueprint calls a content reuse pipeline. Let's say a single joke is created. That exact same joke can be presented in a comedy app, then used in a head-to-head comparison, then used as a human versus machine detection test, and finally entered into a daily scoreboard. The system just presents the object, observes the human or machine response, resolves the outcome, and preserves it. One single piece of content compounds in value across the whole ecosystem without needing 10 separate content factories to churn out new stuff. So let's zoom in from that macro architecture and look at Section 3, Funny, Beautiful, True. This is the daily ritual. Because obviously, if we need human judgment to drive the machine age, how do we actually get people to participate without making it feel like, civic homework? Well, the answer is a minimum daily contribution based on 3 profoundly human questions. What is funny? What is beautiful? What is true? Humor involves timing, cultural context, surprise. Beauty involves aesthetics and form. Truth involves belief, evidence, and reasoning. These are things machines can mimic, for sure, but they cannot truly experience them. The system simply asks you to log in daily and give your judgment on these three specific things. And the mechanism for capturing all of this is incredibly simple. It's just A or B. Which one? This is a reusable primitive that reduces complicated, heavy judgment down to the smallest possible useful interaction. We're not asking for essays. There are no complex scoring rubrics. Just, do you prefer A or do you prefer B? This tiny bit of friction creates clean, comparative signal that machines simply cannot manufacture on their own. It forces a real human choice.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these simple daily A or B judgments feed directly into a much larger narrative, a humans versus machines scoreboard. Based on those daily challenges, funny, beautiful, and true, the system tallies up the results. Best 2 out of 3 wins the day. It basically takes this heavy philosophical thesis of AI alignment and turns it into a daily sports scoreboard that anyone can understand in 2 seconds. Are we beating the machines today, or are they beating us?
But that begs the question, what happens when millions of people are making these judgments every single day? That brings us to Section 4, Vera, the intelligence layer. We literally have to ask exactly this question. How do we make sense of all this human judgment? A massive database full of A or B choices isn't really useful if we can't extract actual meaning from it. Enter Vera. Vera is the optional AI intelligence layer that sits right on top of the record of humanity. And this is key. She doesn't own the record. She just interprets it. It is absolutely vital to understand Vera's boundaries here. Let's look at what she doesn't do. She never silently overrides human decisions. If you say you want X, she doesn't use some trippy behavioral inference to secretly decide you actually want Y. And she never alters the record. But as for what she does do, she prepares your daily brief, she coordinates resources, and she will actually challenge you if your actions start contradicting your stated goals. Incredibly, she also analyzes all that data to find the strongest disagreements in a debate, helping us solve problems way faster by isolating exactly where our assumptions diverge. Basically, Vera protects human attention. She doesn't replace human authority. Finally, let's zoom back out for Section 5, the judgment economy. This is the macroeconomic payoff of the entire Build Something blueprint, and it's where the vision gets truly radical. Remember this golden rule. Generation becomes cheaper, selection becomes more important. If AI can generate 1 million business strategies, 1 million designs, 1 million software patches in a few seconds, the true economic bottleneck isn't creation anymore. It is human selection. Which of these actually matters? Which one is safe? Which one do we actually want? Human judgment literally becomes the most valuable economic input in a world of infinite machine abundance. And because your human participation is what creates the value of this massive dataset, the platform operates on the non-extraction principle. The blueprint explicitly rejects the old Silicon Valley model, where platforms just harvest your data to enrich a tiny group of founders. The institution has to cover its costs, sure, but the excess value created by the network must be circulated back to the humans who provided the signal in the first place. Which leads us to this massive economic anchor, $50,000. Now, to be clear, this is an aspirational yearly economic floor proposed in the source documents. It's not a funded guarantee yet, but it is the target. The whole idea is that if you participate in the minimum daily contribution, providing that highly valuable, scarce human judgment to train and align these systems, you should eventually receive a meaningful economic floor. This is what true circulation could mean for an active human participant. It's a completely new way of recognizing the financial value of human attention. And the circulation goes way beyond just universal basic income. Because the record captures declared signal, Vera can build these two incredible maps. First, a map of need. What would materially change your life right now? Is it $700 to fix a car? Is it funding for a new business? And second, a map of resources. Who has unused money, unused expertise, or unused time they actually want to contribute? Vera takes the data from the record to perfectly match unused resources with unresolved human problems. Imagine offering your unused weekend hours to literally solve a problem someone else just declared. It takes a philosophical data project and turns it into a massive global coordination network. So we've gone from the backwards nature of current AI alignment all the way to a sprawling ecosystem designed to preserve human agency, coordinate global resources, and literally pay people for their taste and judgment. It's a highly ambitious blueprint, to say the least. And it leaves us with one final profound thought to chew on today. In a world of infinite machine creation, what will you choose to judge?